Hello, everyone. This is part two, continuation from ages 20 and 21. And I actually ran out of video time. Went an hour on that last video, so I'm just going to continue on and talk a little bit about that relationship and how hard it was to deal with the issues of being raped as a child and subsequent damage. So this show is graphic and explicit. You have to listen at your own discretion. I ask, if topics of abuse bother you, please don't watch. If you're a survivor in your healing journey and you're not sure if you can watch this without, regressing, going backwards in your healing journey, please don't watch. If you're a minor under the age of 18, I ask that you have parental adult consent to watch my videos. Thank you. We'll get right into this. This is part two. I met this guy, and he comes to see me. I'm on the pill now. You can go back and watch this. I'm not going to repeat the whole thing. I went an hour. I was way over time. Sorry about that. I got a little carried away there. I think my video actually only allows me to record for an hour. So it cut me off. So here's part two. And, uh, we hit it off. We hit it off just as well as we had being pen pals for a year, talking on the phone. We really match up. We really care about it. It's like we knew each other before or something. We feel very comfortable around each other. Because I had never been on a date. I had never been on a date. I'd never kissed a guy. I'd never allowed a guy to touch me. I had a lot of unwanted sexual touching. I was raped as a child, 8 years old. After that, in one of my videos, I actually detailed a situation where my brother's friend in the living room fondling my breasts because he was an artist and he was painting a picture and I didn't say no. Then later in school, I had lots of unwanted sexual touching, but no one touches me with me saying that it's okay, right? Because I was raped as a child and I cannot deal with that, right? But this guy, he's so special. I want this so badly. So I'm not going to go into very many details here. This is not a story about my sex life. What I want you to see is the damage that child sexual abuse caused. Because he wanted to get close. I did too. But I could not. It was just not going to happen. It was that wall was up. And nobody gets through that wall. No matter how good looking you are. You know what I mean? This guy was gorgeous. Really, he was. He was a very good looking man. 7 years older than me. I'm 21, going on 22 now. I'm going to just continue this on and then we'll finish this part up. This is just part two. And I'm getting older, right? I'm almost 22. And, he's 7 years older than me, but he's very good looking. And we have fun together. We enjoy each other's company. It's not just all about, sex, right? And that's what I like about it. But he's very romantic. And I want this relationship so bad, this closeness, this intimacy. I'm getting old now, right? And I just want this, I want this to happen. But I can't let myself because of the child sexual abuse. Now, I know there's many, many survivors of child sexual abuse out here, millions, if not billions. Well, there have been over, since time began here, trillions, right? But we're talking just, alive today. In the United States, there are 60 million survivors of child sexual abuse. Yeah, and more because a lot of it's not reported, as in my case. Except for it was because they reported that as it was. It was my choice whether to press charges or not. But my brother had already killed himself the year before, and would I have done it? I've talked about this a lot on my blog talk shows, especially Spreaker. I have a SpreakerShow.com. And on my website here, Born in Hell, you can go on the About tab, and I've got all my links there with all my shows, different places I do stuff, right? I talk a lot about all kinds of different things on all these different shows. But I'm just, I'm so happy with this guy, and it's just the first few weeks together, we just hit it off, and we're enjoying our time together. Well, he starts wanting to make out. But see, I can't let anybody touch me. And he can't figure it out. We've had such a good time. We've talked. We really feel like we know each other. We've been talking for a year on the phone, writing letters back and forth. Not one or two letters, very lengthy letters, like weekly. because we're pen pals. We had done this for a year. Plus, he had talked to me on the phone for probably 6 months every night, pretty well every night. Same time every night, 11:11. I look at the clock all the time. I immediately catch 11:11 on the clock all the time, but I was doing that before I met him. So I always thought that was weird. And so, you know, he can't figure out why I won't let why I won't allow him to get close. And he's just sitting there. It just pops in his head. I wonder if she's been abused sexually. So he tells me, he's like, somebody hurt you. Like as a question, like somebody hurt you? Somebody's hurt you. And I'm sitting there in the truck and it's nighttime, 10 o'clock at night or something. Should have been having fun. And I'm crying. And the tears are coming down. And he's just like, oh my God. So I tell him about the child rape. And I fill him in on the family details a little bit. The abuse, a little bit of the abuse, that my mother did nothing to stop it. And that, I didn't tell him about being barren or anything like that. I just fill him in on why I have a problem with allowing him to get close to me. And he just holds me, He was so good and so, it's like God sent somebody my way that would be just for that purpose, that would just allow me to let that wall come down. See, I'm not with him, I'm with Cecil. I've only had 2 men in my life. And so it's almost like it was something that God it was a gift from God. Because this guy was able to get through the wall. And I got to, I won't go into details, but I got to be a woman. And I got to know what that real intimacy is like. And that relationship between a man and a woman is so special, and really so beautiful. And when they care about each other and they love each other, And so it was great. So he was my first. And we had a great time. But that all came to an end rather quickly. Excuse me. Now, I find out from him that he's been abused. Now, I knew he had run away from home because he had been living on the streets since he was 13 years old. He actually left his home at 13 years old and then had to go and try to find places to live because he was too young to work. So he would just find people that would just let him stay, like in an attic someplace. He lived in rural Quebec. What's your options there, bud? His dad was an alcoholic who used to beat him. And his mother, I guess. Didn't talk about that whole thing a whole lot. He didn't really talk about it a whole lot. But he beat him and he sexually abused him, sodomized him. His own father tied him to the bed frame and sexually abused him. Well, isn't that funny? Because that's what my brother did to me. Tied me up to the bed frame and raped me. Well, that's what his father had done to him. We both have a lot of baggage. But we didn't realize that until we came together. We really started talking. See? And so he starts to become a little abusive. And at first it's not physical. It's psychological and it's verbal. Certain things that I do that piss him off. But it pisses him off to the point where he becomes rude. And I've just been abused all my life, and I recognize abuse. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. If I was really doing something terrible, I could see somebody telling me, well, you got to stop doing this. Like if I was like, I don't know what it would be. You know what I mean? But I wasn't doing anything. And pretty soon, before you know it, he starts wanting to hit me. But he doesn't hit me. Instead, he slams the cabinet next to me. So in other words, he's not hitting my face, but he's slamming the cabinet right next to me. But I'm so used to violence. I'm so used to getting slammed in the head from my mother. It's like beating on, rolling pins. She cracking my head open twice. My dad knocked me out twice. I'm used to this, right? But like I said, I had enough. That's why I left that friendship with my dysfunctional, lovely, wonderful friends who I love even to this day. I couldn't hang around with them anymore because I don't want any more violence. See, I've made my mind up. I don't want any more violence. I'm tired of it. So I'm starting to get mad, and I have my own set of problems. I have a problem controlling my own anger too, and I get pissed off. So I'm breaking things, and I'm throwing things. I'm calling him names. I was great at name calling. As a matter of fact, I had my mother's mouth. F this, F that. You're a F in this and an F in that, and you're everything you can think. I mean, I cussed. Every other word was a cuss word, other like my mother, right? I learned it from her, right? So, when I met him, he said, it's not very attractive. You should really drop that. It's not very attractive. So I did. I stopped cussing. And but then when he started becoming abusive, it all came back. So I'm cursing at him, and we're not getting along. This was in the first year, and we're trying to make it work. He comes one day, I'm in the kitchen, and I'm still living with my abuser parents. Yeah, he's not staying in the house. He's got his camper. And it's a nice camper. It's not a little cheapy thing. And so he's perfectly happy staying in his camper, and I stay with him, and we go places. We can go in places for weekends, just taking off. Pretty well every weekend we're gone when I'm off work. So, or I'd book a week off, we'd be gone. It was great. It was fun while it lasted. But he after a couple of episodes of just abusive behaviors, he comes in the kitchen, and he's talking to me. Nobody's home. My mom's at work. I guess my dad was at work. And I'm like going on. Well, I'm in 22 now. Probably halfway through 22. It's quite a ways through now. He stayed for a year. He stayed for 6 months, went back to Canada, and then came back for another 6 months. And the last 6 months was where it started getting undoable. We just couldn't do it. We were going to hurt each other. And he was pretty sure that he was going to hurt me. So he comes to the kitchen. He's like, I don't want to hurt you, but I'm going to. He was an ex-alcoholic himself, and his father was an alcoholic, and his father beat him. And maybe his mother too. They didn't talk a whole lot about it, like I said. But he was pretty sure that he was gonna hurt me. And he said, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. And I think our relationship is going to be that kind that I'm going to end up hurting you. And I'm like, why would you hurt me? You wouldn't hurt me. So, he's talking about his abuse and his past. And I tell him, well, you can't let that run your life. I was abused too, but I'm not going to hurt you. I spent my whole life getting slammed, body slammed, and beaten and kicked around. I'm not going to hurt you. He's like, no, but I don't have a control on my anger. I'll end up hurting you. And within a very, very short time, he was gone. And it left a huge hole in my heart. Because we were planning on getting married. And he wanted to marry me. And he said, I'm going to go to Canada and I'm going to build a house for us, because he was a carpenter. And he's like, I'm going to get some land and I'm going to build a house for us. And I'm dreaming. I'm thinking, this is so good. This guy's so good to me. And this is back when we were getting along, right? But this dream is still with me while he's driving down the road, heading off, and he doesn't look back. So my heart's broken. I'm flipping him off. I'm flipping him off as he goes. I'm like, fuck you. That was my thing to do to guys that I'm pissed off at, especially my dad. Belt buckle across the face. Fuck you. Hate you, fucking asshole. So then my heart is torn. It's just so torn. My dream of my perfect one is gone. And, you know, everybody's experienced heartbreak like that, I'm sure. You know, first loves. But for me, it was just, I walked back down the street and I walked back into my old abuser's parents' house, right? Our apartment, right? I'm still living with my abuser parents. And I'm thinking, this is my life. This is probably what it's going to be. I'm never, you know, at this point, I'm thinking I'm not going to ever find any happiness. I'm not going to ever find any peace. And I'm still contemplating suicide at this point. It's still suicidal ideation. And, it's a harsh situation. My parents broke my heart. You know, my brother broke my heart. Now I got this guy walking out of my life who loved me, said he loved me, and I'm hungry for love. That might be why it hurt so bad, because my mom never ever told me that she loved me. It's not the same kind of love, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, to be honest with you, my mother never, never said she loved me. She wasn't that type. She's the type to slap you in the head. You know, she loved her boys. Oh, I love my boys. But she would never say she loved me. My dad didn't either. I was looking for someone to love me, someone to care about me. See, and I think a lot of abuse survivors, especially women, but men may do it too. When something like that happens, it's like a lot of times people just move right on into another relationship because they're like still searching. It's like, I gotta find somebody to love me. But I don't do that. I just close off some more. Because after all, I'm just that fucking whore. I'm that piece of shit. I'm dead. Right? I'm still dead. That was just a dream. That was just a puff of smoke, you know. And I'm back to reality. I'm worthless. I'm useless. I'm a piece of shit who never deserved to be born. And my mother, who she used to say, I should have killed you when you were in your diapers. I should have killed you. Stuff like that. I don't even deserve to be alive. Right? That's all still with me. So I sink into a bit of a depression, and I'm not doing well at this point. I hit 23, 24, 25. There's no real change. Um, I just, I'm looking for something because I'm pretty lost at this point. My friends are gone because I don't do drugs. Haven't made very many friends except for my friend Susan, who I do hang around some. You know, she's a really cool girl. She's nice. She's a little older than me. She allows me to hang around with her. I'm an ex-druggie. You know, she's really cool. Because I was a punk and she wasn't. She's a really nice lady. And she still is. She's my Facebook friend, like I said. We still keep in touch. She found me, and just awesome. A lot of people have looked me up over the years, which is to me is such a great gift, right? Because I obviously mattered to somebody. I mattered to Tammy Bame, and I mattered to Susan, and that brings me a lot of happiness, right? And my nephew, he still tries to look me up. He still tries to keep in touch with me. There's a few. So I did matter to somebody, right? And that makes it all worthwhile, right? My parents, they're still fighting. My mom doesn't want me to move out. I'm always talking about moving out because I want to get my own life. I'm still living at home with the folks. It's not so much fun, right? But my life sucks anyway. It always has, up to this point, except for that little puff of smoke dream that I just had for a short period of time with that guy. And I just sit around in a funk, really. I won't go into too many details about these years because there wasn't a whole lot going on. At the age of 25, I'd say, right around 25, I decided that I'm going to go to cooking school. And actually, it was 26. I started working when I was 16 at that job with my mom. I worked there for 9 years and 364 days. I was like 1 day short of my 10-year anniversary. I didn't stay for my 10-year anniversary. You didn't get anything anyway for it. But I actually left, and I left like I think it was a week before my anniversary, or something, like my 10-year anniversary, to start cooking school, because I decided I wanted to go to cooking school, because just to do something different. Because I was always interested in food and cooking and stuff like that. Even though you would think I would not be, not want to be around the kitchen with my mom, right? When I was growing up, being shoved in the oven and shit. You'd think I would want to stay out of the kitchen. My mom, actually, that time that we polished the floor, and I told you guys back in that video from 7, 8, that me and my nephews had polished the kitchen floor with Pledge, and my mom got mad and beat me in the kitchen, slammed me up against the cabinets. The back of my head hit the back of the handle where you pull, and it's like caved my head in. You know what I mean? It didn't probably crack my head, but it freaking hurt. And then what she did was, she wasn't just pounding me with her hand on the top of my head. She cracked my head. She took a mallet, like a meat mallet, out of the container. Well, she's got me up against cabinets and cursing me, and she beat my head with the wooden handle part. Crack, crack, and it was bleeding. Beat the shit out of me. You think I want to stay out of the kitchen? Cups of hot coffee, plates of food. But no, I have a real interest in cooking, and I like to cook, and I like to be around that atmosphere. I'm thinking, this is going to be good, right? So it's a new adventure for me. So I start cooking school, and I graduate, and I don't get my papers. I'm not a Red Seal, but I graduate from the first part of it. I go into the second part of it, and at that point, I decided to go to the Grand Canyon, because there's a job there. It's a cooking job. Doesn't pay very well, but I'll get some real experience. And I figure then I'll come back and I'll finish off and I'll get my Red Seal. And so I go to the Grand Canyon. Make a long story short, I contemplate suicide while I'm there the whole time. People don't know this, so I don't tell anybody. But I'm thinking, this is one way I could do it. That's always been in my mind. I've had so many plans, you wouldn't believe it. I won't even go into them all. Give people ideas. But anyway, I don't do it. No. I just sit out on the balcony at night after my shift at like 11 o'clock at night. It's like a rooming house in the Grand Canyon, because we don't get to have our own places, because there's not very much room there in the Grand Canyon. And I sit out on there, and I sit out on this little balcony thing. It's only so big, you can only just barely fit yourself on there. And I just sit there, and I look up at the stars, and I'm 26 and a half, 27 years old. And I cry, because I'm out there by myself, and I'm looking at the stars, and I cry. Nobody sees me cry. The tears are coming, because I hate myself. I still hate myself. I have always hated myself. I've never looked after myself. I'm doing better now because I'm not doing drugs. But I still hate myself. I hate my life. I hate what happened to me. I hate what my parents did to me. I just really didn't deal with any of it. So I sit there and I cry. I don't even have to know what I'm crying about. It's just coming. I'm by myself, I don't talk to very many people there. And I just cook for a year. And then 27, we'll pick up 27, and we'll pick up 28 on the next one. Thanks everybody who's interested in my story. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to my videos. And, for you to do that is a big deal to me. It means a lot. And I know that there are lots of people that do check my stuff out, and I do appreciate it. If you're a survivor out there and you're having trouble, you make a phone call. If you're a child out there and you're being abused, you get help. You tell about, I don't know, tell everybody, tell 10, 20 people that you're being abused, call 911, and you get yourself to safety, and you don't deserve to be abused. Nobody does. If you're a person out there and you're struggling, man, you make a phone call. If you're contemplating suicide, I'm sitting here today, and the reason I'm doing this is because I couldn't reach my brothers. Even the one that sexually abused me. The one that I hated. And I didn't care if he was dead. I didn't want him to kill himself. I would have never wanted that. My other brother, same thing. Died of a drug overdose in a shelter. I'm going to go into that here shortly. They committed suicide. Two of my brothers, nobody could reach them. I'm sitting here today because I'm alive after the age of 42, of wanting to end my life since I was probably a young teen. Just wanting it to be over. And I'm just here to tell you right now that I am so glad that I made the choice to live. Something inside, something just tapped me on the shoulder and said, live, live. You've got to do this. Live and get help. Live and reach out. Get some help. Yep. You've got to do it. God bless you all till the next time. Talk to you soon.